Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P. Entertainment and K.L.P. Studios. It's K.L.P. Aftermath with your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, live back on your radio waves. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting podcast here today. And in the studio, live and in the flesh. T, what's going on, man? You good? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the K.L.P. Aftermath podcast. I'm your gracious, your highly favorite, your humble podcast host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas here. Back from vacation. Back with a new season of K.L.P. Aftermath. Back in the studios with our setup here today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome. Let me tell you, boy howdy. It feels so good to be back here in the studio. First and foremost, it feels good to be back here into the studio in general to give you guys another epic podcast for sure. But it just feels so amazing to just be back live and in the flesh, fresh from vacation. And I got to say, you know, vacation has been very, very good. Now, of course, on this podcast, on this episode, I am going to give you guys my WWE Raw review because Raw came on last night. And I do have some stories and some things that I wanted to talk about here on the show as well. But before we get to that, and before we get to Punta Cana too, right, because I gotta give y'all everything that we need. What happened with the podcast episodes and what happened on vacation. I'll get to that part, I promise. But I got to get to the K.L.P. Entertainment news simply because we are K.L.P. Entertainment. So if you guys missed out on it, 3 new videos came out yesterday and today. The first video that came out with K.L.P. Entertainment on all streaming platforms to get your podcast from, all streaming platforms to get your videos from. We uploaded a keynote, a developers conference, summer 2025. We were live here in headquarters in Atlanta. And I got in front of the camera, T, and I gave everybody some news announcements of what's coming on. You got to see that keynote to know everything that's going on. But, of course, we did announce 2 new shows, Eden Prime Horizon and The Impact New York edition will be coming out very soon with the remaining of 2025. I got my guy Omar Grant ready to go for Friday Night Lights on Friday, that new talk show with K.L.P. Entertainment. Podcasting, I've announced that podcasting is still rolling really big for a lot of people. A lot of things, new documentaries getting ready to be in production. Well, we started production, but we're getting ready to do some film dates coming up very, very soon. A lot of great things with K.L.P. Entertainment, right? A lot of things has happened. Guys, if you guys know about it, I'm in this competition, the Global Citizens Competition. Yeah, boy howdy. I love it. So if you guys don't know about that competition, we'll have it in the link description below for sure. Guys, you guys have to go out and get a vote for me, of course. As you guys might know already, I am a music producer and an artist. I do make music on the side here at K.L.P. Entertainment, along with all the other artists here with K.L.P. Entertainment for sure. But I am in this competition, right, with Global Citizens. I get to, if I win, I get to perform at the Global Citizens Festival in New York this fall. I get to be appearing on Rolling Stone and K.L.P. Entertainment, because I say I win it, but this is really for K.L.P. Entertainment. We will win $50,000 money. Very, very excited for that. With that money, I do have some ideas. I do have some thoughts where that money is going. So again, we're still number 1 within our group. So guys, I cannot stress it enough. If you are able to go out there and vote, all you got to do is in the link description, you get 1 free vote. You just log in with your Facebook credentials and you click on the vote for me. And the more votes that I get, the better our outcome will be with K.L.P. Entertainment. So very, very blessful for that competition. I thank y'all in advance. And in advance, of course, we also announced Undercover's coming later this month for streaming services of Spotify for video via Undercover will be coming Spotify for video, but K.L.P has developed the Kennedy Lucasfilm Spotify account to where the movie is going to be streamed for Spotify for video and also Vimeo. Great movie, great acting, great action. You don't want to miss it. We're trying something new with our distribution for sure. So if you guys gear up for it, Undercover will be on its way out towards the end of the month here in July. First and foremost, too, happy July 1st, by the way. Yeah. We made it to July. Let me tell you, we are 6 months away from Christmas and about 6 months away for 2025 being over. Boy, howdy, let me tell you, 2025 is moving like it got somewhere to be. So I'm very, very happy to see July. It's moving faster. There's a lot of things that are moving around in my circle. K.L.P Entertainment is doing this thing. Our medical company is doing this thing. And rumor has it that I might be traveling again. I might be going to Chicago and Puerto Rico. Might be. You know, it's a speculation. I'll let y'all know what content we got coming for that. But July 1st is today. Let me tell you, we're doing a lot of things, T, and audience. We're doing a lot of things when it comes down to, working out. Let me tell you, that workout from vacation, I get into a vacation, but that workout, I'm back into it now. But boy, howdy, when I tell you, when I first went back to working out after vacation, that is the hardest shit you can ever do. When you ate like a fatty, where you had burgers and chicken and fries and cakes and desserts, and you've been drinking a lot of Blue Hawaiian, tequila, liquor, all these things I did on vacation. It was the hardest thing for me to do for my workout. The first day coming back, I said, hey, I need to slow this thing down. I can't go like I need to go, simply because it's going to take me a minute to get back into the groove of things. But that workout was really good. Again, always shout out to Crunch. I'll get into my vacation and everything. I'll get to that in about 2 seconds, guys. I promise you. But the one thing in July that we're doing, and we can say this, it's a little personal, but we can say this. We're revamping our house. You guys know I do. Everybody has homes, and we're changing some things. We're remodeling, so that is just something that I'm very, very excited for. I say that very quickly. I'm not going to do behind the scenes. We're not going to do a house tour. I think people who do that is the dumbest thing you can ever do, simply because you just don't know. There's a lot of weirdos. There's a lot of stalkers out there. I do say, and a lot of YouTubers do it now, where if they are content creators and they have to do a house type of content because it just helps their content grow, and they have to do their house thing. I get it from a content's perspective, but you have to be careful not to link your address on a social media platform like YouTube, simply because there are a lot of stalkers. I see a lot of YouTubers, primarily beauty YouTubers, who vlog around their house, and they've got their windows blurred out, which is very, 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 very smart, because you got to be careful nowadays, right? But I'm very, very excited for that. Things are just growing. I'm getting, back into the shape of things and getting back into what I love to do on a daily basis. Again, K.L.P Entertainment, it is growing. Podcasting is still going. What happened was with me and Evelyn still going. We've Bro Code Podcast. Shout out to T. He's our producer for this show. Shout out to T and Jackson. We did an episode. We did an hour and 30-minute episode on yesterday. Yeah, yesterday's episode, yesterday morning. So, guys, check it out on all of our social media platforms, simply because it is a way to go if you want to have us talk about just solely sports on that podcast show. It's really, really amazing. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to save the WWE Raw review and some topics of story towards the end of the podcast, because I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends and families and fan members, they say, hey, are you going to talk about the vacation and the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport debacle? Yes, I will right now. And I'm very, very blessed for that too, because, a lot of people watch the show, all of the shows, right? My sister, shout out to my sis. My sister D'Amber, an avid fan of our podcast, she watched the What Happened Was, the latest episode of What Happened Was with me and Evelyn, and she said that I reminded her of Arthur, right? Arthur the Art Bart. So, because I had a yellow shirt on too in that episode, so I did look like Arthur. So we had a crack about it. I love it when it's not just my sister D'Amber, my friends do it too. And friend members, they watch the show on their big screen TV, and then they're sending me a picture like, hey, look what show I'm watching. I don't know what it is. It just gets me giddy when I see myself on the big screen TV, especially when you have it to where when you're podcasting, you can, you stream it, but you can watch it from anything from your down to your phone, to your tablet, to your laptop, to your TV. So very, very dope when it comes out to that. And then we do film all of our podcasts in 4K as well. So that's just really, really amazing to see. And then my friend Connor said that, hey, when are you going to talk about when you're going to do your next podcast episode? And I told him that I would do it Tuesday night to talk about the trip. So let's talk about the Punta Cana, Dominican Republic trip that I went on. Now, when I talk about this, it is not something that I say to on the podcast that I'm not saying that hee hee ha ha, look what I'm doing, look what I can do, right? I like to talk about my experiences, but I do say to a lot of people, this is not a braggadocious type of segment. I'm not bragging about me going on vacation. I'm not showing people up. I'm not trying to flex on people whatsoever. I have to note that because I know I've done some content with my vehicle. I've done some content with some new stuff, and then people might have thought that I was flexing. No, that's never my intention when I have content creating like that. Okay. So I just wanted to make that known. So last week, the 23rd through the 27th was the week where I announced it on the podcast before that, K.L.P Entertainment was shutting down for the week because we were going on vacation, right? Everybody knew that I was doing that. We closed it down because typically at K.L.P Entertainment, when we have a week off, I try to take time off. And I think I'm starting to understand that I've got to take more time off more now because we are expanding, right? K.L.P Entertainment is growing to greater heights. And for me to avoid burnout with K.L.P Entertainment, ProMed Consulting, our medical company, right? I have to spread these things out because I will get burned out, right? So we thought to ourselves, the 23rd through the 27th will be our vacation time, right? And it all flowed really well simply because it was vacation for me and it was my buddy Connor's 30th birthday. Shout out to Connor. Happy birthday. I know it's kind of belated now. We're in July, but happy belated. I wished him happy birthdays over the trip through the entire week. But again, happy birthday, right? Big 30, that's a big number. So Connor says that, hey, I want to go to Punta Cana for my birthday, and we were able to score. So let me tell you guys, and I like to shout out my friends on the show because they're just near and dear to my heart. So you've had my friend Connor, my friend David, my friend Keyshawn, myself, my friend Mutzi, and our new friend Lee. Shout out to you, Lee. You get air horn, right? So it was a great group of us. It was about 6 of us, right? And before I get to it, I want to say, by the grace of God, I'm so thankful. I'm thankful for quite a few things. I'm thankful for being able to have the funding to go on these trips. Again, this is not a braggadocious type of thing. I have a lot of other friends in our outer circle that unfortunately won't be able to go on vacation this year because it's tight. Money is tight. It is very expensive to go out the country. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. A lot of people are, and I wish it get better. A lot of people are struggling to pay rent, right? So I thank God each and every day that I can wake up and not. It's stressful running a couple of companies. Yes, it's stressful. I can't say that it's easy for me. It is very, very stressful. But I know a lot of people that's going through some really tough shit, and they would love to go on vacation and take some time off and take a break, but they can't. To those people who can't do that, I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure it's going to come eventually. You just have to stay humble and keep working at it. I know it takes a lot, right? So that's why I say, by the grace of God, I am so thankful that I'm able to go on vacation and to save up and to really save up money for this vacation. Because have I been out the country? Yes, I have. I've been to Cozumel, Mexico back in 2016 with a great group of friends, right? Shout out to those friends that went to Cozumel with me. But this was the second time I'm getting more extensive out the country. Passport is ready. Driver's license is ready. Money's ready. We going through Punta Cana. Me going to Punta Cana for the very, very first time. It's a different culture. It's a different outlet out there. It is different out there. So I got to say, I'm thankful for the funding. I am thankful for my friends who came along with this trip. You know, it's hard to find friends who can afford a vacation. Again, not a braggadocious type of thing segment, but it's hard to find friends who is willing to spend money to go on vacation, right? It's rare to find friends nowadays, unfortunately, that they can spend the money on vacation and they don't have to worry about, damn, I spend money on this vacation. Will I have enough to pay rent next month? Right? My that great group of circle, we paid for our vacation, went full, and then we know that we've had money saved up for our bills and things in reality when we get back from this vacation. So I'm thankful for that select great group of friends. Now I got to give a special shout out. I got to give a special, and hopefully she's watching. Special shout out to my friend Mutzi. The reason why I'm giving her a special shout out simply because she kind of organized the trip, right? With any type of trip, she organizes the trip to where it works out really, really well. Um, she's very organized. She's very down to the T. She's good at math and finances. So anytime if I can't, typically with my finances, if I had a finance question or like a money question, typically I go to my sisters first, right? On the occasion, if I just don't know now, nowadays I try to understand my financials and a money question by myself because I think that's the best way to do it. If you learn your financials by yourself and you do things a little differently, you learn to do it a little bit differently in your finances, right? But on an off chance, I just truly don't know something, I go to my sisters first. And then after that, I go to Mutzi, right? She's very good at that. So I got to give her her flowers. We were very appreciative for her kind of putting this thing kind of together. And she's kind of like the glue that keeps our friendship together and to really budget out and to have a plan. And she's very logical, right? She's very rational. So it's just really, really good to have that type of friend that's a part of it. So Mutzi, shout out to you. Um, so I wake up early, 4 o'clock in the morning, drove to my big brother's house. Shout out to him. He took me to the Atlanta airport simply because I didn't want to drive to the airport, park my car in the airport because that it can become expensive parking your own car for a full week. And my brother said, "Hey, why don't you just come to my house, park your car in my house? I'll take you to the airport. You ain't got to worry about your car, right?" So shout out to him for that. For he's the go for that one. So we flew Delta and we flew Delta down into it to Punta Cana, and it was interesting. First time going through customs and immigration for DR. You got to have your passport ready in hand. You've got to get scanned. They got to check your bags, right? We were going through customs, and my friend Keyshawn, he got stopped by one of the guys in DR, and I'm always gonna laugh about it. So he had a package. All right. Well, he had his luggage, right? Because he didn't check in a bag. And I say to a lot of people, there's no shame in not checking in a bag. I went ahead and checked in a bag because I've had a big bag of clothes, swimsuits, and I brought 4 pairs of shoes with me. So of course I was gonna needing to check in a bag. I had no regrets. I'm going to check in a bag simply because it's under the plane. Under the plane, I have to worry about it. I don't shame people for doing it. I don't. If you don't check a bag, I get it. I understand you want to. $35. I get it. Right. I just said, screw it. Let's check in a bag. So I ain't got to really lug it through the airport, lug it through TSA. They have to sniffle through your shit. And that's one thing Keyshawn ran into with the other side going to DR. They had one of the guys from the DR customs. He got stopped. Right. The guy opened Keyshawn's luggage. He opens it up and he's like flossing his stuff up in the air. Not like wee in the air, but like, how like it looked like he was tossing salad, right? He was just like shuffling through it. And then Keyshawn had containers of like either medicine or like conditioner. So he would go pretend like this is a conditioner, y'all. He was shuffling and he would do this number here. And I'm looking like, dude, it's just conditioner. It's just shampoo. But he's going through it, and then Keyshawn like, damn, like. So after that took a minute because he took his slow time too. The customs guy in DR, he's shuffling really slow. He's going through everything all slow and molasses like, so slow, shifting it up his stuff. He closes the luggage, and Keyshawn is good. We were worried about him because like, Oh, they about to take your bag, Keyshawn. But he went through. Everything went really well. So I will say, the ride from the airport, DR airport to the resort. Now we did go to an all-inclusive resort. I think that's the best way to go if you are traveling out the country. Simply because with the inclusive resort, you're paying for free food, free drinks, free amenities, along with your condo or your hotel room that you're staying in. I do say to a lot of people, there are a lot of resorts out there in DR. Now, I will say that we were able to stay at the Serenades Resort, Beach and Spa Resort. Very, very good result. And I will say some hiccups, and we'll talk about the hiccups too. So we ended up, going to the Serenades. We get checked in. We had the little wristbands on our wrist that you can't take off because that will signify that you're in the inclusive part of the resort. We were greeted with Blue Hawaiian. What Blue Hawaiian is, it's like a vanilla rum drink, slushy type drink that they give out as a welcome thing. It was very, very nice. One thing I do like about it, one thing I do when we travel, if you travel a long distance, because we did this in Vegas last year for my sister's 30th, when we got to the resort, I said, okay, we need an hour to rest, right? Now, the flight is a 3 hour and 2 minute flight from Atlanta to DR is 3 hours and 2 minutes ish. So we were able to go to our hotel rooms and to really chillax for a minute, take a shower, take a nap, to really revamp and get ready to spend time each other with this resort. Very, very beautiful resort, by the way. It's hot and humid. So I do say to a lot of people, train for the humidity and hot in DR, especially in the summertime. It will be hot. I think a lot of people got to train. You need to train for that, right? You got to be healthy because you will pass out if you're not trained for that and you have to deal with the humidity and hot, right? So what we ended up doing, and I do encourage a lot of people, if you do stay at the Serenades, and I can only speak for the Serenades. I can't speak for the Catalonia. Catalonia was another resort that was next door to us. I can't speak for that because we didn't stay there. Serenades, I would say book a room with the pool side because I think you get more bang in your buck if you do it that way. My room was my room, average room, shower, whatnot, but I also had a pool next door to my room that was a private pool. I recommend people doing that simply because, again, you are at vacation, you're on an inclusive resort. I will spend the extra dollar if that means that I'm getting my pool side along with my room resort, right? Now, it's not to say that they didn't have pools. Obviously, they had 4 pools around the resort. They had a big beach, right? But there's something about you going to the public pool and you're spending time there, you're spending time on the beach. And then one day you might want to say, okay, I need my poolside private so I can just listen to music and be in my own zone for about an hour and a half, right? So again, I do say to a lot of people out there, if you are traveling to DR and you stay at the Serenades, book a poolside, spend the extra money. Let me tell you, you will not regret that. Each room we all booked was a poolside room, which was very, very cool. We spent time in each other's pool, and it was very, very cool to spend some time with each other. And the food was really good. I will say the food is different. I will say that the food is different. You can't expect DR. And they had some American food. I'm not going to say they didn't have American type food, but the taste buds is a little bit different. Most of the food was fresh, right? They do have a buffet. Buffet was good, right? You want to make sure you book reservations for the restaurants that are inside the resort, right? Don't rely solely on the buffet. Again, if you make a reservation for these restaurants, it is free. If you book the inclusive part, it is free. But with these restaurants, thousands of people are there vacationing right now. You have to make a reservation, right? That was really one of the main hiccups is we didn't have a vacation for the hibachi spot that they had there. And some of the receptionists, now there are some nice receptionists here, but my friend Muncie ran into a really bad receptionist that gave her everything but niceness, right? attitude upon attitude, and then I think she got cussed out, right? That was really the main hiccup with that. Um, DR people are a little bit different than US people, and I kept saying that. And there's no shit talk on DR. If you're from DR, there's no shit talk at all. But the culture is different, right? So I kept telling my friends that I travel with, we it sucks, but we can't expect DR to have the same decorum policies and politeness as US people, as we're accustomed to. We can't. Culture's different. So I do say if you guys do travel, just kind of watch out for that. Now, I'm not saying, again, not saying that all DR people are bad. That's not what I'm saying. We had one run in with one bad DR person, right? That's from Dominican, right? And long and behold, if that reception would have cussed me out, I would have cussed her right back out. I pay money to stay here, so you know. But that was really the only main hiccup. But the food was really good. There was this Mediterranean spot that I think I enjoyed the most because it was a Mediterranean spot next to the buffet, and what it was Mediterranean. So I ordered the fresh salmon. That salmon was so fresh too. It was the freshest salmon that I've ever tasted. It was just really that scrumptious. And couscous. If you guys don't know what couscous is, it's like rice, right? It's kind of like a rice bean. That was my favorite dish from the vacation was that. Not to say that all the other dishes wasn't good, guys, because it was, but it was very scrumptious. I spent time at the pool. As you guys might see, I look a little bit back, light skin tone, back to my skin tone. But when I got back, I got burnt. I got a little tan. I got cooked a little bit. But if you guys can follow me on social media, I did a lot of social media posting about me at my poolside. I was flexing, and I went to go get my haircut yesterday, and my guy Byron tripped me out. He was like, "Yeah, you fresh from the island, man. I saw you." And we laughed. We had a good laugh about that. I enjoy doing a post like that, doing posts like that simply because Crunch they got me looking right. I gotta say I am so thankful that I look the way I do. I'm always gonna say that if you guys met me in 2015, I did podcasts. I started the podcast in 2015. You can go back and watch my very old podcast shows. I was husky, right? I didn't look the way I do now. And now that I've been going to the gym for years and I've been getting more swole, getting more skinny, and I felt obviously very confident in posting with my tank tee and my shorts and my fedora hat that I bought in Punta Cana. That was my thing that I always, because any trip I go to, I try to buy something like a apparel that kind of reminds me of the experience. I felt really confident. And that just goes down to Crunch, right? I go to the one in Crunch Snellville, but shout out to them because they got me looking amazing, right? You would think I was Dominican. So very dope resort to go to. Slept okay. Sleeping in a different place is different because I'm accustomed to my own bed at home. I'm custom because I have 2 custom made pillows specifically for me from Sleep Number. Not a sponsor, but if they want to sponsor us. But I went to Sleep Number and got custom pillows for myself. So I didn't, and for some reason I didn't bring one of them. I should have, but I didn't. And sleeping was a little bit off at certain nights, but we prevailed through it. Very awesome experience. We went to a magic show that was really good. We did step outside the resort, and I will say this, and I know my dad's probably watching, and I get why he says what he told me. I get it, because safety is security. I will say, if you do leave the resort, make sure you have your passport with you. Not loosely with you, tight with you, right? I will say that first and foremost. I will say, when your parents tell you something, 9 times out of 10, they're right. They would know. And I hope my dad is watching, because I'm just kidding, right? But my dad was nervous about me leaving the resort. I didn't listen. We left the resort. But I will say, if you are traveling with a great group of friends that you can trust, then you would be okay to leave the resort for about an hour or two. Now, obviously, we left the resort for 4 hours ish. I don't think there's danger that's coming to you if you are traveling with a great group of friends. Now, I can see, and my dad was like, and shout out to my dad. I love my dad. And I'm just kidding, Dad. There's no shit talk on my dad. It's just, so my dad says, let me do my dad voice too. And Daddy, I'm making fun of you now. My dad says in text, and when I read the text, I could just hear his voice. Make sure you don't leave the resort. Make sure you don't stay on the resort. I get to that extent because my dad wants to make sure that I'm safe in a different country. Because obviously, like I just mentioned, DR is not US. You can't expect DR to be just like the US. You can't. So when he said that, I completely understand. I get it. But on the other hand, if you are able to leave the resort with a great group of friends, I think you're going to be fine. We ended up going not too far. We went about 15 minutes out the resort because we were ringing in Connor's 30th birthday. We went to 2 drinking spots. The first spot was really good. It was a chill, quiet. I mean, it was loud, but it wasn't too much. They played Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla so many times, that song. I love that song, but damn, don't beat it to death. Had a couple drinks, couple vodkas, had a couple hookahs. It was a chill vibe, kind of like a pregame. It was really good. We got chillax. A girl comes to me, one of the waitresses. She probably thought I was Dominican, and she looked at me. She rubbed on my shoulder. She's like, so she was speaking Spanish, and I said, agua, and she was like, ooh. Well, no, she comes over. She rubs in. I said, hola, ¿cómo estás? And then she said, bien, bien, bien. I was like, bien. And then I said, agua. And then she liked that. And then she thought I spoke fluent Spanish because she kept speaking Spanish to me. I was like, I'm sorry, Biquito Espanol. Like I'm not super fluent in it. So she enjoyed my company. She did this thing where she went back in the back where we could see, and she's looking at me and she's doing this number. She's doing this number here. And when girls do that, they like you, right? When they doing that, giving you a nice smile. So I'm like, hey, I'm like, what's up? So then the second spot was called Drink Point. I recommend people going to Drink Point if you're in DR. Drink Point is the second spot we went to. It was a drinking spot. We really got turned up there. We vodka, dancing, singing, drunkenness, hookah, dancing all over the place. All the women, they're just standing there. They were doing their. You could tell that they were there with their booze and bay. Like the ones that they were with their booze and bays, they were just sitting there. And then the ones that was what looked like they were on the girls' trip, they were twirling their hair. They would stand still and do this number here. Look away, look at you. Look away, look at you. All awkward, like to me. Now, if a girl's trying to get my attention, you would think she would be like smiling, doing this number here, checking you out. You would think girls would do that. Not in DR. They were awkwardly staring so we can go over there and buy them drinks, right? Some girls, maybe. And I'm like, no, I'm chilling. I don't know you. And I'm not saying this to all women, right? But you could tell some women that were there, they were looking fine now. Skirts on, breast all out, short skirts on, hair did, makeup done, nails are filed and done. They looking for a good time from a gentleman. But my friend Muncie, she was like, why don't you, there's a lot of pretty girls in here. Why don't you go and try to introduce yourself? I'm like, well, I could, right? But I'm having a good time. I'm drunk out of my mind. I'm dancing. I'm just in my own mojo right now, right? I'm enjoying my own self company. If it happens, it happens. I kind of like the idea. I think I said this in the last episode. I kind of like the idea of women coming to chase me. I'm done chasing women because it just, honestly, based off my experience, it never goes anywhere but me losing money. And I'd just rather not do that, right? So that's why I was just kind of in my own mojo. But there's a lot of, I could tell there was a lot of single girls in there with their girlfriends. And you could tell that they either don't have a man or they just, something happened. I just have to be careful nowadays when I go to the club simply because I don't want to, I just don't want to be led on to something that's not going nowhere because I've been there, done that. There's another girl that was staring at me too, that she was with her boyfriend and she was sipping her drink and she was doing this with her shoulder. She was dancing, she was lit. And then the guy was like this. And then in my mind, like, dude, you don't see your girl doing this. You might as well need to go dance with your girl, right? Take her to the dance floor, make her feel good, dance with her. None of that has happened. So, like I say, we went out. It was very, very awesome time going out. We got drunk. We got a ride back into the resort. Everything was peachy clean. So I do say to my dad, it's okay if you leave the resort if you have great friends, but if you try to do it by yourself, I understand why you might say that. So as we wrap up, the vacation time, everything is lit, everything is fine. We get into the airport, DR airport. You have to go through customs or TSA rather. We're on our flight, Delta back to Atlanta. This is where the fun begins. Y'all want to know where the fun begins? Here's where the fun begins. So we get to on our way back to the States, June 27th, 2025. We're on the plane. We're tired. We rested. Vacation's over. We're a little sad because we had to go back to reality. We're on the flight back, and I'm planning for the next thing for next week. We're ready to go. The plane heads towards Atlanta, and then I'm one of those nerds that I have the flight tracker on the because when you fly Delta, you get the screen in front of you, and then you can track the flight tracker. So I'm tracking it, and I noticed we started to shift over a little bit. And T, when I tell you that I'm like, okay, we shifting over. That might be a tactic. You're trying to just avoid the weather because I knew it was going to be bad weather coming back to Atlanta. I knew that was coming. But we still on the plane and we shifted. So we started to shift a whole heck of a lot as if we're going to Alabama. And then I'm like, okay, this ain't right. Something's wrong. That's when the pilot comes on the intercom and says, "Hey guys, thank y'all for flying Delta. We love y'all. But there's going to be a 20-minute delay on the terminal because of bad weather." We like, all right, 20 minutes, we'll wait. It's bad weather. Ain't nothing we can do. We're good. And then he did his loop-de-loop, but we wasn't going towards the Atlanta airport, Hartsfield Jackson. And then I go to say, damn, something is going on. The pilot comes back on and says, "Hey guys, let me see if I can get." This is what the pilot said on the flight. "Hey guys, thank y'all for flying Delta. This is your captain speaking. We hope that you guys enjoyed your ride. Um, I know I said that we're gonna have, like 20-minute delay on the Atlanta airport, but we will not be landing at Hartsfield Jackson simply because the control tower is out. Everybody had to evacuate. The power went out in the control tower. So, yeah, we won't be able to land at Hartsfield Jackson Terminal. So, we're going to divert to Savannah." So, we ended up going to Savannah. And everybody on the flight was like, damn, everybody was mad. Everybody was pissed. Everybody was just flipping their lid. And I said, all right, we're going to Savannah. Cool. This is what the pilot said on the way to Savannah. "Thank y'all for flying Delta again. This is your pilot speaking. We are 2 minutes away from Savannah International Airport, the smallest airport in Georgia. But we're going to get refueled here. We're going to connect with the control tower and see if we can divert back to Atlanta after we land in Savannah and get some fuel on the plane. Rest assured that we might be back to Hartsfield Jackson if the power comes back on. Thank you guys for your patience, and that's all I have today for you guys right now." So we like, all right, bet. So we land in Savannah, right? I've been to Savannah multiple times before. It's been a while since I've been to Savannah. But we land the plane. We're getting fueled. And I just had a seeking sudden feeling. I was. Y'all want to know what the pilot said? This is what the pilot said. We're in Savannah. We're getting, we're up next to get fuel, right? They had 6 diverted planes that was flying international, diverted to Savannah, Georgia. Just sitting there. Because the one thing about the diverted international flights, or international flights in general, is an international flight. So you got to go through customs, you got to go through immigration to make sure nobody's sneaking in, right? You got to go through all of that. So this is what the pilot said, because we're going through all of that. And we're thinking that, okay, you're getting refueled, you know. Well, first we thought we were getting refueled and we were heading back to Hartsville Jackson. This is what the pilot said. I hope y'all like the sound effect.
This is your captain speaking. So yeah. Hey guys. We got we got more bad news. Being that we're on an international flight, we do have to go through customs and immigration. There are 6 planes that were diverted here into Savannah, and we will not be landing in Atlanta at all. Why, you ask? Simply because the pilot, me, well, not me, but the pilot and my co pilot, we are over our federal flight limit. So once we get off the plane, we are not able to fly anymore into the next day. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we're going to be stuck here. Being that Savannah International Airport is a very, very small airport and 6 planes have diverted, we are the last ones to land, so we cannot get off the plane immediately without going through immigration and customs. Being that these 6 plus planes are not going to Hartsville Jackson because the power is still out over there and we are over a federal flight limit, they have to have customs, check the bags, take the bags off, check the bags. And each and every one that comes out the plane have to go through customs. So we're going to be sitting on the plane for about 4 or 5 hours. Sorry for the inconvenience.
That's what happened. And that's why we had to sit on the plane for 6 hours because, again, 6 diverted flights are just sitting there. They're all international. They didn't have that many arms and bodies that work at Savannah. It's Savannah, Georgia. The airport's not that big. It's not like Hartsville, right? So they had limited employees to come over there, check the bags first, and check everybody to make sure everybody was a U.S. citizen, right? So it was 5 hours of me sitting there, listening music. Everybody was just losing their minds. There was a lot of conversations. I sat next to this woman with her 4-year-old daughter. I felt bad for her because she was going to Kentucky. Atlanta was not her final destination. She had to get on the connecting flight to Kentucky, and I'm sure she's home now by the time of this podcast. But could you imagine they're still at the airport? So we get there after 6 hours of sitting on the plane. It's 2:00 in the morning now. Everybody's dog bit tired. Hotels are booked all left and right in Savannah. So what we had to do is we had to stay at the airport overnight. Me and my friends had to stay in the airport overnight because there was no hotels. And at the time, the Avis car rental place was not open. So we were stranded. We had the Delta app open, and they kept delaying flights, right? Because of the whole, and the reason why the Hartsville Jackson Control Tower, their power went out simply because it was storming. It was hailing and storming in Clayton County, right? So everything was off. So plus the diverted planes, plus the planes that were supposed to leave on time, everybody had to stick to a schedule, causing flights to be canceled, causing people to be stuck at airports, causing flights to be diverted to different airports because we just couldn't land in Hartsville Jackson. It was a whole mess. We stayed overnight in Savannah's airport. We tried to get an Uber from Savannah to Georgia for 3 hours, 4 hours. 3 hours. I think it was 4 hours, actually. 4 hours. No Uber accepted that ride, which rightfully so. That's a long drive. We're stranded. Delta's flight that we were supposed to be on back to Atlanta kept getting delayed after delayed after delayed. This is where I give a shout out to my friend Muncie again. She was able to book a rental car with Avis, and we took a rental car back to the Atlanta airport so that way we can get picked up from my big brother to take me get my car so I can go home. It was a whole mess. I tell y'all, it was a whole heap mess. If you know, you know. If you've watched TikTok and Facebook alone, that has been the topic of video footage feeds the last few days. And then my mom was coming back from Detroit for business, so I was nervous about her. It was a whole people mess, but like I say, I know I spent 40 minutes talking about this thing, but that's how vacation went, and that's how we gonna roll it out for sure when it comes down to the vacation time. The podcast might be over an hour because I still got some things to talk about simply today here on the show. Now, shout out to vacation. Now let's talk about it. WWE Raw review. Oh yeah, I'm gonna end it there now because I got some stuff I got to talk about. All right, so the Raw review. If you guys know, WWE Raw came on last night, obviously, and on the show I try to give you guys a Raw review. Of course, if you want my reaction from Night of Champions, go watch the Bro Code podcast. That episode we premiered yesterday morning. If you guys want to know more about my review on Night of Champions, go watch that episode. I'll give you guys my full blown review. Things are heaping up. Things are heaping up for the women's division. Obviously, WWE Evolution will be here in Atlanta down the street. It will be at State Farm Arena. And I'm very, very happy to say that I will be in attendance for Evolution. I was able to score some good pricing for these tickets. Let me tell you, WWE price tickets are high. It's high. So we were able to score some really, really good seats for a very, very good price. And I just couldn't pass that up. So I will be in the building for WWE's Evolution. I'm still waiting to see if tickets might go down for Saturday night's main event. Probably not. I probably won't be able to attend that event because those tickets are very high, simply because Bill Goldberg will be back in the ring at State Farm Arena down the street. So there's a lot of things going on. WWE Monday Night Raw on Netflix debuted at 6 p.m. I kind of like that idea because simply it's 6 that Raw comes on, and then I have still the rest of my night to myself. It's not late night when Raw ends. So I think I kind of like that new time frame. So here are the matches that we had. Of course, we had Penta and Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. The second match was the World Tag Team Championships, New Day versus the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley and Gunther cuts a promo and the announcement of Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis about Evolution. Let me tell you, the show does open up with Rhea Ripley doing her promo, doing her thing. It will be official at Evolution that we're going to see Rhea Ripley and Io Sky together facing off when it comes down to Evolution pay-per-view. That's going to be a great match. I do like it that they're trying to steam Evolution up because we did buy the tickets, and I look forward to seeing what happens next with WWE Evolution because, again, you're trying to fill the seats, you're trying to fill the card. You're wrong about one thing. You're not on top. Scott told Ripley, pointing at her title as evidence. Ripley slipped up and nearly uttered the same line twice, but recovered well enough to nail the final line. Very, very excited for that when it comes down to it. The segment, they gave it a C+ for sure for Bleacher Report, but I'm very, very excited to see Io Sky and Rhea Ripley doing that thing. Two talented superstars, first and foremost. I kind of lean more for Rhea Ripley because that's mommy, right? When she says, at the beginning of the show in her promo, she says, "Welcome to Monday Night Mommy," and how sexy she said it. I'm sorry, that turned me on. It really turned me on. I'm really, really glad to see that happening as she cuts the promo in Atlanta. It's going to be really, really dope. And then next we had the championship match, New Day versus Judgment Day. I got to say, the New Day looked a little rusty, right? I think Judgment Day gave them more for their money. I really did. And now we have it to where we have new tag team champions. I do like the Judgment Day. We kind of did the story with them already, an audience, about them having that long reign for the World Tag Team Championships. I do like the idea that the Judgment Day is rocking gold, right? They're trying to do this thing where a lot of stables do. You think about Evolution when you think about a stable, right? Where everybody had a belt. So I do like that idea. I do like the concept of a stable having all of these championships. JD McDonough and Finn Balor, they were able to get their belts back, and now they're champions, to say the least. So now you have JD McDonough, Finn Balor, and Raquel Rodriguez, and now the new a part of the women's tag team champions, Roxanne Perez, due to Liv Morgan's injury. Now they all have gold, along with Dominic Mysterio being the IC champ, right? So it's really, really dope to see. I try to root for the New Day as well. I know when Xavier Woods was doing his posing, when Alicia Taylor did the announcement, he did a weird little pose. That was weird to see on TV, but I think they looked a little rusty. I really did. I think they didn't really give us their all from the New Day, because I know they're very talented. I will give Xavier Woods credit, right? And I'm picking on Xavier Woods because obviously he's from Atlanta as well. He's better now than he was the last few years ago as a wrestler. He performed really well. He's training a lot. He's not like the spoof superstar that we see nowadays. He can really go and really give us a bank for his dollar, right? He's really trying to perform some things that is just really quite amazing. So I love to see it. The next match we had was kind of like a slobber knocker fest. It was Sheamus and Rusev. I do like it that Rusev is back in WWE and we're able to see more of him. Two meaty guys, but two meaty guys coming together and colliding together to give us a match. I was kind of rooting for Sheamus for this because Sheamus has been on a hot streak right now. You know, he looks more buffer, more swoller. I do like to see that there's less jiggle, but I'm an analyst. Less jiggle from Sheamus, right? Because I remember when Sheamus first came back for a while, he was blubbered, right? He was blubber, like he had a beer gut. I do like it that he started working out. He started getting more slimmer. He's getting back to the shape that we remember Sheamus being in. Not a fan of his theme song. I like the old theme song better, not the fight one, but the that's my favorite theme song for Sheamus, right? But it's good to see that these two guys are still, longtime friends going at it. There was a little jiggle from Rusev when he was doing that kick move on the turnbuckle. We saw it jiggle, just a little bit. So I don't know, a lot of jiggle. Then they did this package reel for Goldberg, of course, the man, the legend, the Hall of Famer. They're just hyping up Goldberg for Saturday night's main event that's going to be here in Atlanta. Look, I get it. We might see Goldberg lose? Probably, right? I mean, if Goldberg wins the championship, he might have a short run, and then somebody's going to take the belt from him. Is what I think is going to happen. They gave Rusev and Sheamus that match a B+. Very good match all out. It's really, really dope to see. And then Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, they made an announcement about, or they did a segment about who's going to replace Liv Morgan, and that ended up being Roxanne Perez. Now you have Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez as Women's World Tag Team Champions. At the Evolution pay-per-view, another thing to fill in the Evolution card, we're going to have Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, the tag team champions, versus a women's tag team from Raw, a women's tag team from SmackDown, and also a women's tag team from NXT. Very, very dope concept. I like that idea. Will we see a lot from the NXT roster? I would love to see that. It would be funny if NXT took the tag team championship belts, the women's division. It would be funny if they did that. Would be cool. Will they? Probably not. Or maybe, I don't know. We might change it up. I do like that NXT is getting more of a push on main roster nowadays. WWE, I do think we need more black people on the main roster. That's just my personal opinion. But I do like that NXT is getting that push. Of course, we was able to get a promo from Gunther, but then, of course, Seth Rollins comes out and say, hey, congratulations, champ, but I'm still Money in the Bank champion. CM Punk comes out, beats up Seth Rollins. He goes and escapes, and then we had LA Knight. It was very cool how they cut that because Seth Rollins escaped after he got attacked with CM Punk. Seth Rollins escaped towards the fan stairs, and LA Knight comes down, and I thought it was a fan, like, whoa, we need security. But it was LA Knight, and then they ended up doing a backstage brawl real quick. And Seth Rollins did escape from that, and it was very, very, very cool to see. Chad Gable's out because of injury. We had Ludwig Kaiser floating around, fluttering around, being in the background. Feel bad because I heard, and I think this is true, I heard that Ludwig Kaiser and Tiffany Stratton broke up. Now, they were a real life couple. That wasn't just for TV. They were a real couple, and they ended up breaking up. Sad for Ludwig Kaiser because Tiffany Stratton, I would so date Tiffany Stratton. I'm probably way out of her league, but if I had a shot, I would date Tiffany Stratton. She's so fine. But Ludwig Kaiser's fluttering around American Made, and towards the end of it, he comes into, obviously we know who that is in the Americano suit, right? It's Ludwig Kaiser. He looks taller. Ludwig Kaiser stands like this. So obviously that's Ludwig Kaiser in the mask of El Grande Americano. And then we did have the Bailey and Lara match. I'm skipping over that. I'm just not a fan of that. I don't know what it is with just them that I don't know. It has to grow on me. The match ended up being a draw too. Right? Jessica Carr, she's the referee or the official. She declares the match a draw because apparently there was let's see if we can play this. Apparently there was some sort of, okay, so both of them, their both shoulders were down. So this match is a draw. So both shoulders of both Lara and Bailey, their shoulders were down. So Jessica Carr declared that as a draw. Okay. And then the main event, we had Sami Zayn, Penta versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. An all-out slobberknocker of a match. Braun Breaker, he's just a solidified badass. And it's awesome because he's from Atlanta too. So certified badass. I do like the angle with Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. I do like that faction. I think is really, really cool to see how fast Braun Breaker can go. And to see that Bronson Reed is just the big destroyer. Sami Zayn, I'm a semi-fan of Sami Zayn. I think there's a lot of superstars that are better than Sami Zayn, in my personal opinion, but he's okay. Penta is so dope at what he does with the high flying moves and whatnot, but like, I just don't want them to I don't want to say overwork, but it's a lot of Penta. It's a lot of Penta. And I just don't want WWE to over glorify Penta when they have so much luchadors in WWE along with AAA Collide, right? That's just my only thing with that. Paul Heyman is Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is always funny as a manager. And then we ended up getting some interruptions between Jey Uso that comes out as well. So overall, they give the entire event a B+, a big thumbs up, way up for WWE Raw results. Very, very good show. I liked it. It was very, 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 very good show. You can't really complain with WWE sometimes, because sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. So it's very, 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 very dope to say the least that something has happened within WWE and making sure that they keep the shows alive and they keep things going for sure. Now, my last parts of the show, again, I might give y'all over an hour podcast because there's just so much that I just need to talk to you guys about. First off, I do have to say happy birthday to the great Missy Elliott. It's her birthday today, July 1st. So Missy, she's still doing her thing. Let me tell you, Missy, back in the day, she was cute, right? Missy now, Missy that lost the weight, look, yeah, she look fine now. Look real fine. So here's the topic of conversations, the first three topics of conversations here today. This is coming from Finance 101 segment of World Star, and I kind of wanted to give my take on this. Fast money, bad choices. Fitness model joins OnlyFans, makes $400,000 and blows it all on a Lambo. Now, this is coming from World Star, and I kind of wanted to weigh on it on the podcast, right? The faster you earn money, the quicker you're likely to spend it. A pattern that reflects the tendencies to increase spending as income rises. While it's natural to enjoy the rewards of earning more, this mindset can become problematic when it interferes with building long term financial security. The question is, are these fast money opportunities truly setting influencers up for success or leading them towards financial instability? So I will answer this in my personal opinion, T and audience. Comment below what you guys think of this. But I wanted to talk about this because I read this story, and there are a lot of fast money opportunities out here. There are. If you are lucky to be in a fast money world where it's a fast money opportunity, you're making $400,000 with taxes. I don't know how that works, but I know how taxes work, but I don't, But would I spend $400,000 if I just won it or just earned it on a Lamborghini? No, absolutely not. I think that's very wasteful. There are a lot of other luxury cars that are, I can't say inexpensive because there are a lot of luxury cars that are expensive, right? There are a lot of other options that you may not spend $100,000 on it. Now, I will say with my beautiful BMW that's electric, that car doesn't cost me $400,000. No, no way in hell that car will cost me that much, right? I think this is a bad choice for a lot of people. I think a lot of people get influenced that, hey, I got this money, let me spend it. There's in a business world, and because I've got 2 degrees in business, I'm working on my doctorate degree in business. Just because you make a certain amount of money, let's say if you make $500,000 or $1 million, doesn't mean you got to blow it all in one setting. I think that's a dumb choice. I can't hate too much on my ladies that's doing OnlyFans because, hey, you making money. I stand on that side of the fence that, hey, if you are doing OnlyFans, it's not for me to judge because you are making money. I can't judge you on that. I've done some things, not OnlyFans, but I've done some things that I may have not been proud of, but I made money because I had to. Do I do these things now? Absolutely not. But we all know we got to make a living, right? I think a lot of people out here that makes that amount of money have no financial literacy, and that's this word, T, in the audience. That's what people have been talking about for a very, very, very long time, that financial literacy is so important. I think there is a lack of financial literacy when you make fast money. I think there's a lack in education when you are making this amount of money. And I'm going to go on my education banner, because I know a lot of people don't want to go to school right now because everybody don't want to get in debt. I understand that part. But I've always been saying, and I will continue to say, if you are in school and get degrees, you're in this conversation that you're in the top conversations when money needs to be made. Yes, I get it. We all have degrees and we don't have that dream job yet. I get it. I understand it. That's just the economy right now. I completely understand that. But I think going through school and learning how to budget finances is so important. Let me tell y'all, and I think I'm doing really, really good with my finances, right? Saving up a lot of money. Credit score is looking really good. Not going to tell you the number because it's personal, but we're in a good fitting. The reason why I make sure my finances are good, simply because it is very, very important to save. Right? To save every dollar you make, because things are expensive. Food is expensive. I would say gas is expensive, but I have an electric vehicle, so I don't really have to worry about gas anymore. Housing is very expensive. Mortgages are very expensive. Taxes are very expensive. Everything goes up, right? It goes up. So when you're able to make, if you were blessed by the grace of God with fast money, you have to learn that, okay, I got this fast money. How in the hell am I going to make this money grow? It's kind of why I'm in this competition with Global Citizens. I want to win that competition because I know I've got to make passive income. I know I've got to save this money up so that way I can secure my future and make sure that I'm straight. My bills are paid. I'm sleeping in my nice warm bed. I'm eating a hot cooked food at night. I'm not blowing it on something luxurious so that way I can go on the gram and say, look what I got. And that's exactly what I think this young lady that does OnlyFans is. She believed in the hype. And For a branding thing, I kind of understand a little bit because I know there's a lot of companies, K.L.P Entertainment in particular, we purchase certain, not a whole lot, not $400,000 worth of stuff, but we purchase things if it makes the brand look good, right? We do. We purchase a new set. This set here that you see here, I had to purchase it, right? But it makes the show look good. If you're purchasing something for your brand that makes the show be more efficient, by all means. But if you're just purchasing something, posting on Instagram for a few likes, and then now you're out of $4,000 out of your bank account, then what are you going to do? I think there are a lot of people that make poor financial decisions. And I can't say in my close circle friends because we don't, but I know a lot of people who make poor financial decisions. And I say to a lot of people, you have to be careful because the simple fact of it is if you make that poor decision, then you're going to be stuck in a rut. Right? I will say this, and there's no shit talk on either of my parents. There's no shit talk at all, but a fact's a fact. Going to college wasn't easy, right? We had to take loans to go to college because we couldn't afford it, right? There was 5 kids, 5 of us. We all went to college. So as I'm going to college, I know a lot of family members make poor decisions, financial decisions. I'm transparent. Our family, we made some poor financial decisions. I think when we made those poor decisions, not just my immediate family, but a lot of people in my entire big family, we've made some bad financial decisions back in the past, right? I think going through that allowed us to understand and how to better ourselves financially so we don't make that mistake again, right? When it comes down to my finances, I am very, very frugal. I am. Believe it or not, guys, I'm very frugal with my money. I'm like that because there's a saying that a lot of dudes say, and I love it when they say it. And women say it too. I love this saying. First saying, that because you got it doesn't mean you got to blow it. And you got to grind out here like you broke. I tell a lot of my producers with K.L.P Entertainment that. I tell a lot of my family members that we're blessed and highly favored and we're stress-free. I can't say we're financially free. I would say I'm financially lax, but I'm not financially free yet, right? But I'm grinding like I'm broke. You got to have that mindset. Grind like you broke. Because when you do that, you save so much more money, right? I always, not just my family members, my friends, because I talked to my friends who went on vacation because they want to know how to grind like you broke, work on your credit score, and I say get a couple credit cards too because credit cards, they will help. Now, when you get credit cards, don't max out your credit cards because your credit score going to get messed up if you do that. But you got to understand that balance of your debit card, credit card, other cards, business expense, taxes, LLCs. You got to understand those concepts. And let me tell y'all, you won't understand those concepts if you're not financially literate, if you don't have the education about finances, right? People grind and grind and grind and grind, but they spend more and they spend more and they spend more. And I also say, don't live above your means. That's what this young lady, I feel like she's doing with OnlyFans. Again, you made $400,000, but you spent it on a Lamborghini. You're living above your means there, honey. Right? If it was me, if I've made $400,000, even from OnlyFans, let me tell y'all what I would do. Now I'm getting to my money bag now, T. What I would do if I won or earned $400,000, what I would do, and I know some people don't like banks. I get it. I first would split that 400K in the middle, split it up. One half, again, I know some people don't like banks. People don't trust banks. I get it. But you can't just have cash of 400 grand just laying around, right? There's no insurance there, right? I would take that first half of that. I would find Chase. I'm just naming banks out of the blue. Chase, American Express, Goldman Sachs. Find those banks. It could be any bank really, but those are just the banks that's on my mind. Find an account with those, either one of those three banks. I would say go for Goldman Sachs because you can't go wrong with Goldman Sachs. Find an account with them and find a high yield interest. And let me tell y'all what that is, or my definition or my understanding of it. And I only say this because, and I'm only doing this because there's a lot of people who don't know what that is. A lot of people are not financially literate. A high yield account, whether it's a checking or savings, is primarily in savings, but you can get a high yield in checkings too, depends. When you put a certain amount, let's say that 400K split up, you put that at a high yield savings account, for an example, you're accruing a high yield interest. That means the higher that interest is, that interest there, that's yours to take. Right? 400K split up in half, whatever number that is. My math was a little off. Whatever that number is, plus a high yield account. Each month, you're accruing a big chunk of interest depending on how much you put in that savings account. So you essentially are making money just by having money sit in an account, a high yield account. And that's how you let that grow. Now, if you put $10 in a high yield account, you probably ain't gonna make that much out the right. But if you do 400K, half of that in a high yield account, you're gonna recruit some interest because banks want you to have an account with them with that high yield, with that amount of that amount. It's essentially like the bank is paying you to have money in that account for that bank. Essentially what that is. The other half of that, passive income. Whether it's investing in a business, whether it's buying a property to rent out, because I'm thinking about that. It's coming, y'all. I believe it. I've got, if I win this competition, I'm creating the Kennedy Lucas Capital business, right? Where I am buying a property and I'm trying to create that passive income. Let me tell y'all why people should do that. Passive income, you're stacking more money on top of your everyday job or whatever it is you do for your other side of the money, and you're stacking money up. You don't have to go hungry. You don't have to stress about a bill. You don't have to be worried about where your next meal is coming from. For a lot of people who have kids, you don't have to worry about, damn, little Jimmy needs some Pampers, but I can't afford it. That's what I would do with that $400,000 if I made that from OnlyFans. I wouldn't buy a Lambo. Would I buy a nicer car? Sure, maybe, depends on the price. But I wouldn't blow a whole $400K on a Lamborghini when I could invest that to make more money. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, part of financial literacy. And that's something that I've learned. That's something I went to school for. I took some finances class. The finances class it helps you learn a lot. But I think it's a lack of financial literacy that people are missing. And when they are missing these things, that's why people run out of money quickly. People are out here, and I'm not talking for the people who are struggling because it's the economy is a different world. Things are up right now. I'm not talking about the people who are struggling, but I'm talking to the people who choose to be broke because they make the poor financial decision. Right? I think is so important to have it to where, when you make that amount, find ways to make passive income, find ways to put that in a high yield account so that way your money is growing. because it's very, very important. I know people say the U.S. dollar is decreasing its value each few years. I get it. I understand it. I'm watching the news. I get it. But as of right now, I do believe money runs the world. I do. I think there's a lot of things that run the world, but money's a big part of it. And if you don't have it, you're going to struggle. Again, not talking about the folks who are struggling because they've had money, but things got up and whoever we put in office, that changes and tariffs and stuff. I'm not talking about y'all because, again, I'm right there with y'all. But the people like this young lady that's on OnlyFans that's making $400,000, and you choose to buy a car with all of that money, and the dealership's happy to take your money, but you choose to buy that car because you're trying to flex. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I just, one of those things I'm just never going to understand, but maybe it's just something that, hey, people do. But we'll see with the OnlyFans lady, you know, if she's able to make that $400,000 again from OnlyFans, but kudos to her. But if she goes broke and have to declare bankruptcy and don't have no money, hey, I can't fault you for that. It's on you. So that's going to wrap up the podcast here today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Of course, we gave you guys, the vacation vlog, how the vacation was, this story, and my WWE Raw review. Gave you guys over an hour podcast. I'm trying to target that because if you've noticed, Broco podcast, it was an hour and 30 minutes. I'm trying to do more of the hour podcast because I just genuinely love doing our podcast. Really, I really do. Simply because for our fan base and everybody out there, before we wrap, we are spreading shows out, right? You know, you might have got 3 podcasts from me, you might get 1 or 2, right? And the reason why that being is because I do another show called Broco Podcast. I do another show called What Happened Was with Evelyn and I. And then I got a new talk show on Friday, right? So that's why I kind of have to spread these things out. And I like being the producer for shows nowadays. So I really do hope you guys like this new format to open up the new season of K.L.P. Aftermath, presented by Our Heart Media, by the way, one of our big partners for our streaming services. Again, guys, check out our content this week. We've got more coming. If you guys enjoy this podcast episode today, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, share it with your friends on Facebook Watch, Spotify Video, or any audio platforms you get your podcasts from. That will wrap up the K.L.P. Aftermath podcast. I've been your gracious, highly favored, and blessed podcast host, the swanky one, the gracious one, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas, and we will catch y'all in the next podcast episode. Tomorrow, it'll be Bro Code Podcast with me, Jackson, and T. We're going to be talking more on sports on that show tomorrow. Until then, we love y'all. Thank y'all for staying tuned, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Go, what's going on in Hot Atlanta? Live from Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P. Entertainment and K.L.P. Studios. Go! It's K.L.P. Aftermath with your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.
Made it.